Hi, hope you're doing well. So this is the chemistry HL paper 1 2023 May and time zone 1. So let's start the paper. So the first question is, which information does the molecular formula provide? The simplest ratio, the actual number of atoms in a molecule, the number of molecules in 1 mole, and types of bond. Of course, the molecular formula is the thing which provide the information like actual number of atoms, and that is for empirical formula, so that's why it's wrong. And a student heated a known mass of zinc powder in an open crucible until there is no further mass change recorded. What would be the student able to derive from this data? Like, you know what? Zinc, of course, zinc reacts with oxygen to form zinc oxide. So we can say that the initial mass of zinc and then we heat with oxygen to form zinc oxide, and then like the final mass. So we, by this information, we can easily identify the, the empirical formula, easily empirical formula and the molecular formula. So that's the thing you need to know. So the empirical formula, because for the molecular formula we should know the MR of unknown compound, so that's why percentage composition and empirical formula, these are the things we can easily identify by this. What is the molar mass? The formula is PV is equal to nRT. So PV is equal to mole, this is mole mass, moles, so mass over MR RT. So MR would be equal to mass into RT divided by PV. So you have to see mass is 40. 40 should be in above numerator. R is real gas, it should be in numerator. T is temperature, which is 273 plus 17, that is 290. It should be above. So that's why we can say that A is the answer. That's so easy. What's the minimum number of electrons in energy level 4? N is equal to 4. So N is equal to 1 means first shell. In first shell there are 2 electrons. In second shell there are 8 electrons. In third shell there are 18 electrons. In fourth shell there are 32 electrons. So C is the answer. Which statement best explain how the first ionization energy of sulfur is lower than that of phosphorus? Why? Because sulfur has the spin pair repulsion. Phosphorus does not have the paired electron in p orbitals. Sulfur has one more proton, sulfur has unpaired electron, phosphorus has more, no. So spin pair repulsion present in the sulfur, but phosphorus does not have, right? So spin pair repulsion is the key thing. What can be deduced from the period number of the element? Highest occupied energy level, number of sub levels in the outer shell, and number of outer electrons. So period represents the total number of shells. So we can say that like beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, this is the period. So they all have same number of shells, but they have outer electron. For example, beryllium, it has 2s2, lithium has 2s1, So 2p1, then 2p2, 2p3, 2p4, 2p5, 2p6. So highest occupied energy level, yes. Number of sub-levels in outer shell, yes. Number of outer electrons, no. In the following unbalanced equation, X represent an element which oxide reacts with water as shown in this. So XOH, when X has a 2 plus charge, and because OH is -1, when you swap the charge, it formed XOH2. So X should belongs to second group. So magnesium is the thing which belongs to second group. So B is the answer. Which element is not a transition metal? That's so easy. Why we can't consider? Why we can't consider? Because chromium having colored compound, it is a typical transition metal. Manganese, nickel. Why D is the answer? Because zinc has full d orbital. That's why it is not having the properties of transition metal. That's why Z, its all salts are white in color, its compounds are white in color. It do not have the colored compounds unlike transition metals. So that's why this is the answer. Which substance is likely to have an ionic lattice structure at 298 and 100 kilopascal? So it's at 298 mean room temperature. So the room temperature, its melting point should be higher. Conduct electricity in liquid state, yes. Ionic compound, they do conduct electricity due to free ions. So that's why D is the answer. Why does the melting point of the element decrease down the group? Because the melting point, they depend of the group 1, because the metallic bonding strength is going to decrease. But why? Are there number of electrons increases down the group? Radius of metal increases. So radius is, we can say that, going to increase. First, ionization energy is not the thing which actually depend on melting point. And if atomic mass increase, it's not linked with melting point. So these two, number of electrons increases and the radius of the metal. So radius, when radius is going to increase, the strength of the metallic bond is going to decrease. That's why C is the answer. In which molecule does the central atom has the incomplete octet? So that's so easy. Boron trifluoride is the option. Why? Because boron has only 3 electrons in outer shell and it share all of its electron with fluorine. So it has still 6 electrons which cover the boron. That's why it exists as the incomplete octet. What are the formal charge on the atom in the molecular ion? So how do we calculate the formal charge? There is the way. Formal charge is equal to number of valence electron minus 1 by 2 bonding electron minus non-bonding electron minus number of non-bonding electron. So for formal charge of sulfur, 6 is the valence electron minus 1 by 2. Bonding electron are 4, you can see, and minus non-bonding pair 1 2 3 4 4. So the formal charge is 0 for the sulfur. For the carbon, 4 minus 1 by 2 multiplied by 8, and there is no non-bonding, so the charge should be 0. So that's why B is the answer. What type of hybridization present in glycine? When carbon has a double bond, always remember it is sp2. sp is for the carbon-carbon triple bond. And for nitrogen, since nitrogen has all single bonds with a lone pair, so it is sp3 hybridized. For the oxygen, since oxygen has the double bond, a pi bond, it has a lone pair and 3 electron groups, and there is a pi bond, so that's why sp2 hybridization. So that's why we can say that, like, we can say A is the answer. What is the enthalpy change of the following reaction? That's so easy. Reactions are given. So CH4 plus H2O, arrow carbon monoxide plus 3H2. We have to find this delta H. So carbon plus oxygen, it form carbon monoxide. This to form 2 carbon monoxide. It form 1 more carbon monoxide, and carbon plus hydrogen to form methane, and 2 hydrogen plus oxygen, they form water. Is there water there? Yeah, so water is also there. So we have to find this to form carbon plus oxygen, it form carbon monoxide, so negative 2 2 2. We need 1 mole, so divided by 2. And for methane, negative 74 there, and for water again negative 484 divided by 2, because there are only 1 mole of water formed. So from where to tail start, you have to put start there, you have to write end there, because the arrows had point charge there. So this is the indirect route, this is the direct route. So direct route is equal to sum of indirect. So 484, 74 stays the same. Half of this is 111, and half of this is 242. So that's why B is the answer. Like, it become negative 242 negative 74 plus delta H is equal to negative 111. So delta H is equal to negative 111 plus 74 plus 242. That's why B is the answer. Which allotrope oxygen or ozone has a stronger bond between oxygen atoms? So of course, stronger bond should be oxygen. So stronger bond should be oxygen, and absorb higher, because stronger the bond, higher the frequency of UV light which absorb. This diagram shows enthalpy change of for dissolve a solid MX in water in the process increasing the temperature of the solution. So since the temperature is going to increase, if the temperature of the solution increases, that means it is the exothermic. And for the exothermic, Yeah. So the for the exothermic, temperature of solution increases, that means the enthalpy should be going to decrease. Decrease means in negative. And lattice is always um, going to increase. Yeah, so hydration is always negative. So that's why. And the solid turns into gaseous ion, so that's why. So whenever solid turns into gaseous ions, it is always lattice. That's why. What's the correct combination of delta H delta S for the reaction? If the reaction is spontaneous, that means delta S should be positive. Should be positive. And at high temperature, so for the exothermic reaction, like you look at this, delta G is equal to delta H negative T delta S. This is, if you have delta G negative value, that means reaction is spontaneous. How you get negative? If you have like smaller delta H value. If you have smaller delta H value, and if you have delta S value larger, because larger delta S should give you greater negative value. That's the concept you need to know. So your delta H should be less, so minus, so C is the answer. What happens to the average kinetic energy of the particle in the gas when the absolute temperature is doubled? So kinetic energy is equal to 3 by 2. Yeah, it increased by the factor of 2, because average kinetic energy of the particle in the gas when absolute temperature doubles, it increased by the factor of 2. Which calculation determines the initial rate of this reaction? Rate is basically change in concentration over change in time. So if you like place a tangent there, so 0.4 divided by 0.2 and 10 minus 0. Look at this. That's the correct tangent. So that's why this is the answer. What is the order of reaction with respect to A? In slow step, A is involved. So that's why we can say that rate is equal to K into A into B. So first order, because that's the one thing. Overall reaction is second order. that is rate determining step. First order. Which pair of graph indicates the same order of reaction? That is like, you should know this is second order, this is first order, this is first order, rate is not going to change, this is zero order, this is first order, this is first order, and always remember this is for the zero order. So that's why we can say that D is the answer. Which reaction has an equilibrium constant Kc is equal to 650 at a certain temperature? So what is the equilibrium constant for the following reaction at same temperature? So Kc is 160. So reverse of Kc is equal to Kc inverse. So like if we have the hydrogen plus iodine reaction to form 2HI, this concentration, I'm just giving example, initial 0.3, 0.33. So Kc should be 3 square over 0.3 into 0.3. So the answer is 100, for example. So if we reciprocal, take a reciprocal, 1 by 2 H2, 1 by 2 I2, HI. So again 0.3, 0.3 and 3. So what is the answer? Kc is equal to 3 over 0.31 by 2, 0.31 by 2. See, Kc answer is 10. Initially it is 100, then now it's 10. That means we have to take the under root. Which equilibrium constant correspond to spontaneous is the most negative value? So delta G is equal to negative RT ln K. If Kc is less than 1, so delta G is positive. So most negative is this. The highest value. Which product are formed from neutralization of nitric acid and calcium? That's so easy. We form calcium nitrate and water. Which combination describes the strong bronze state lauric acid? It's a proton donor, a good proton donor, and its conjugate base should be weak. It should be weak. So B is the answer. What's the relationship between acid-base dissociation constant and conjugate acid-base pair? So Kw is equal to Kb, yeah. What is the pH at the equivalence point of titration? So equivalence point is half of the pH. So 5. Which change involves oxidation of nitrogen? So nitrogen over there is -3. -3 to 0 is oxidation. +4 +4 to +2. 0 to -3. +4 to -8 and +8 and +8 for one nitrogen, it is +4. So +4 to +4, no change. It's reduction, oxidation. So A is the answer. Which combination describe an electrolytic cell? So electrolytic cell, chemical to electrical, and that is always spontaneous. What is the standard potential difference? So we have to calculate this. We have the formula. E cell is equal to E reduction minus E oxidation. So reduction is which has the greater value. So +0 plus 80 minus 45. We have to solve this. This is the answer. Which statement is correct about the ions in the cell assembled from these half cells? So over there oxidation takes place because it has less value, that is reduction. So negative and over reduction always like it gains electron and oxidation loses electron. So negative ions flow into zinc half cell from salt bridge. Why? Because the salt bridge is the thing. Our negative it flow towards the zinc. Why? Because zinc is get oxidized. There the plus charge is higher. So we have to form give the negative ion so that positive ion is compensated by the negative ion, and the process keep going to take place. Which formula represent an ether? Ether is the having this formula ROR, that is ketone, that is an aldehyde, that's the phenol. So this is the answer. Why does benzene undergo substitution more readily than addition? Unsaturated is not the reason. Addition, because resonance make it more stable. What is the product of the reaction butene with bromine? So butene mean the double bond present at second and third carbon. Bromine exactly placed there. So it should be 2,3-dibromobutane is the answer. Which molecule is optically active? Optically active mean which has the chiral center. So propane 2,2-dichloro. So over there is hydrogen, over there is methylene, over there is methyl. So that's correct. 2,2-chlorine. So that is not correct because it do not have any chiral center. So 1,2 mean over there one chlorine, other chlorine. So this is the chiral carbon. So that's correct. 1,3. there chlorine, there chlorine. So it has hydrogen, it has same, it has hydrogen, same. So that's why it should be 1 2, because it has the chiral center. Which pair of the reactant could produce following intermediate? Pi bond is going to attack to hydrogen and this bond is going to break. And hydrogen goes to CH. If hydrogen goes to there, if hydrogen goes to this carbon, then there is a plus charge, but the the hydrogen will goes to the carbon which has least number of. No, hydrogen goes to the carbon which has this, so that's why this compound is formed. This is correct. And over there, this is going to break because that's a tertiary halogen alkane, so automatically this is formed. So that's correct. But in this case, the reaction is not going to take place. Which term describe nitronium ion in the nitration of benzene? The type of reactant, that is nitronium ion. It is electrophile there. It is electrophile. Acid-base nature. Now it has the positive charge. It has ability to donate proton because it has proton efficient. So that's why it's Lewis acid, because Lewis acid is which accept the pair of electron and it has tendency to accept the pair of electron. What's the percentage error if the enthalpy change of the substance is determined experimentally to be negative 2100 and it is like negative 35? So percentage error is equal to the value we have 2100, that is experimentally, and the literature value is 3500 divided by the literature value 3500 times 100. So that's the way it will, we have the 40%. That's the molecule produce this proton NMR. It has only one peak. You can see the chemical shift of the ketone. It has only one peak. So why B is the answer? Because it is having one proton environment. That's why. And you can see the value, the range from the period back of the paper. What's the index of hydrogen deficiency in adenine? So hydrogen deficiency is 2C plus 2 minus H over 2. So it is like 25 plus 2 minus 5 plus 5 divided by 2. That's why 6 is the answer. That's it.
Thank you for staying with me to the end. Don't hesitate to leave your question or request in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.